Federal government denies increase in the pump price of premium malt or spirit. Nigerian Governors Forum set up committee on CBN monetary management. While on the foreign scene, Burkinabe security forces rescue 66 abducted people from armed fighters. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the major reports. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola. The federal government has denied any increase in the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, despite the hike in the cost of the commodity across the country. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, in a statement issued by his aide, Horatius Egua, in Abuja, said President Muhammadu Buhari has not approved any price increase for petrol. The minister explained that there is no reason for the president to renege on his earlier promise not to approve any increase in the price of PMS at this time. He further explained that President Muhammadu Buhari is sensitive to the plight of the ordinary Nigerians and would not want to cause untold hardship on them. The minister added that the government will not approve any increase in the price of PMS secretly without due consultation with the relevant stakeholders. Meanwhile, Nigerians have bemoaned the persistent petrol scarcity in the country, calling on the federal government to find a lasting solution to it. Those who spoke with Osbc News against the backdrop of fuel scarcity coupled with the hike in the price of the commodity maintained that it is much better for the government to implement subsidy removal and ensure availability of the product to save Nigerians from further hardship. Oluchi Amoda reports.
For several months now, Nigerians have been facing untold hardships as a result of the fuel crisis that seem to have defied all known solutions, going by the blame game between the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and the Independent Marketers Association of Nigerians. The premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, is not only scarce, but is being sold at exorbitant prices. It was observed in some filling stations visited by Osbc News in Ejigbo local government area of Osun State, as well as in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, that the few stations among the independent marketers that have petrol pegged the price between 290 naira and 300 naira. While there were long queues in one of the few stations belonging to the major marketers, where pump price was pegged at 190 naira per litre. The federal government had announced that it may begin a gradual removal of the petrol subsidy from April this year, about 3 months ahead of the initial plan to effect a complete stop to the expenditure head. Nigerians have, however, advised the government to find a lasting solution to the lingering fuel crisis. In their separate reactions, Mr. Tunde Bello, Mr. Sunday Oyelade, and Mr. Aresa Inyoda stated that government should be decisive about the implementation of whatever action it plans taking, as long as it would lead to the availability of the product in the country.
The government is shouting they want to remove subsidy. If they want to remove it and remove it once and for all, that if we make it the commodity available, it will be better. Let them do the needful once and for all. Instead of giving us problem today, problem tomorrow, problem, let them do the needful once and for all, so that we'll be comfortable.
I'm not happy because they have told us that this thing will be hike in some areas or sometimes, but it is unfortunate to hear that since 3 days ago that the petroleum subsidy rise from almost 200 naira to 290. So it's very, very hard for us to migrate from some area to another.
Reports say fuel subsidy gulped 2.565 trillion naira between January and August last year. Also, in the medium-term expenditure framework, the federal government proposed to spend 3.3 trillion naira on fuel subsidy between January and June this year. According to the Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, Zainab Ahmed, removal of fuel subsidy is part of the federal government's medium-term plan in the budget. She, however, said that the challenge was how to go about removing the subsidy. Oluchi Amuda, Osbc News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has commenced punitive measures on commercial banks by fining them 1 million naira per day for each box of new naira notes they refuse to pick and disbursed to their customers ahead of the 31st of January 2023 deadline. The management of the Apex Bank made this known during a sensitization program organized for market women at Ayegbaju Market in Osun State to acquaint them with the new Naira notes of 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira. Speaking at the event, the Deputy Director Research of the CBN, Adeleke Adelokun, disclosed that the Apex Bank had printed enough new Naira notes. However, commercial banks refused to pick them up. Meanwhile, the branch controller of the CBN, Oshogbo branch, Madojemo Daphne, who was represented by Adebayo Omosholakle, disclosed that Nigerians ordered the old Naira notes to the tune of 2.7 trillion Naira. The Central Bank of Nigeria has insisted that the old Naira notes of 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira will cease to be legal tender after January 31. The 36 governors in Nigeria have resolved to set up a 6-member committee led by the Anambra State Governor, Charles Soludo, to engage with the Central Bank of Nigeria in addressing issues pertaining to the country's monetary management and financial system. The governors also resolved to collaborate with the CBN and the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit in advancing genuine objectives within the confines of Nigeria's laws. The governors arrived at the resolutions arising from its first meeting held this year under the auspices of the Nigeria Governors Forum. The NGF, in a communique issued by its chairman, the Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, noted that the recent NFIU advisory and guidelines on cash transactions were outside of the NFIU's legal remit and mandates. The governor stressed that they were not opposed to the objectives of the Naira redesign policy, however observed that there were huge challenges that remain problematic to the Nigerian populace. Speaking further, the governors expressed the need for the CBN to consider the peculiarities of states, especially as they pertain to financial inclusion. The National Population Commission has assured Nigerians that it will conduct a more credible exercise in the 2023 population census with the aid of available technology. The chairman of the commission, Nasir Kwara, who gave the assurance while speaking to journalists after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, added that technology would make it difficult for anyone to manipulate the exercise. Kwara said the commission will be making use of cutting-edge technology, including global positioning system and satellite images, noting that every building in the country has already been coded for the exercise. According to the chairman, the demarcation of enumeration areas had been completed, affirming that the exercise proper will take place between late March and early April. The Atiku Okowa Campaign Council in Osun State has backed Governor Ademola Adeleke on his pronouncements that the presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, will win Southwest landslide in the February 25 election. In a statement signed by its Director General, Honorable Sunday Bisi, the Osun Atiku Okowa Campaign Council dismissed the statement credited to the Tinubu Shetima Campaign Council in the state while expressing optimism that the PDP presidential flag bearer will sweep polls in the upcoming elections. Honorable Bisi added that a vast majority of voters in the Southwest have preference for the candidature of Atiku on the strength of his capacity to get the country working again, stressing that the Yorubas will not be hoodwinked. While giving reasons in support of Governor Adeleke's prediction of Atiku Okowa victory in the Southwest, he emphasized the widespread support, huge turnout, and the deep network that Atiku enjoys across the Southwest. He said, in addition to this, are the promise of restructuring made by the party presidential candidate for the growth and development of the zone, its agenda of industrialization to pave way for employment opportunities. He further revealed that what India's article to the people in the Southwest also include its commitment to financial autonomy of local governments and firm action on taming insecurity challenges confronting the zone, among others. The Speaker, Osun House of Assembly, Honorable Timothy Oweye, has emerged as Nigeria News Direct State Speaker of the Year at the 12th Anniversary Award and Lecture of the newspaper. The publisher of Nigeria News Direct, Dr. Samuel Ibiemi, said that the Nigeria News Direct's 12th Anniversary and Award Ceremony Committee resolved to honor the Speaker of the Osun 7th Assembly for his outstanding leadership roles. Ibiemi added that the Assembly, under the leadership of Oweye, remains undivided and calm despite the change of government in the state, adding that little or no fracas has been reported about the House in the past 3.5 years. He described the Osun State House of Assembly as one of the most peaceful assemblies in Nigeria under the leadership of Oweye as the Speaker, noting that Oweye has proven to the whole world the value of his wealth of experience in legislative duties since his assumption in office. Oweye, who was represented at the event by the clerk of the House of Assembly, Mr. Simeon Amusan, commended the board and management of the Nigeria News Direct newspaper for the timely and wonderful award. He, on behalf of the Speaker, dedicated the award to the honorable members of the 7th Assembly for their relentless efforts in advancing the development of the state. Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has assured the residents of the state that the high commitment of his administration to their welfare by putting in place workable measures in prioritizing the health sector and others. Omotayo Adibodun reports.
Looking at the flag off of the second round of circulating mutant poliomyelitis virus outbreak response in the state, Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke lauded the state's primary healthcare development board for a job well done, which led to the national recognition during the first round of the response, which was held in December 2022. He pointed at the diligence and dedication of the health workers as factors that led to the award. The governor was represented by his deputy, Prince Kola, who expressed satisfaction that Nigeria, which battled with the issue of poliomyelitis for so long and has finally left the list of countries with wide polio virus. He further assured that the present administration will continue to support the primary healthcare development board and other health agencies in the state.
It is our belief that the deployed team for this response will work assiduously to ensure that we maintain the first position we got during the last round of this exercise. It is not easy to maintain first position. Our ability to sustain and maintain that position is very, very important.
Earlier in her address of welcome, the Executive Secretary of Osun State Primary Healthcare Development Board, Dr. Adebukola Olujide, appreciated the support received from the state government since the commencement of the present administration, which she said resulted to the state emerging first position nationally during the first round of the medical response. Dr. Olujide added that primary healthcare is the bedrock of healthcare delivery and the only means of healthcare delivery to the grassroots, which more than 70% of the populace reside.
Our message is that our mothers and caregivers, they should make their children from the day-old children to 5-year-olds available. The vaccinating teams will be going from house to house and also places where people gather, like marketplaces, churches, and mosques. So they should make their children available for the immunization.
In their separate remarks, the state coordinator of the World Health Organization, UNICEF, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, African Field Epidemiology Network, and joint parent to take advantage of the free vaccines against polio, saying that other vaccines will be administered during the process, which holds between 21st to 24th of this month. The event climaxed with the official flag off done by the Deputy Governor Prince Kola Oyewuse, after which he visited the Primary Health Care Development Board facilities. Montayo Adebodun, Osbc News.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, in collaboration with operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, have busted a criminal syndicate involved in the trafficking of fake United States dollar notes and recovered a total of $269,000 counterfeit in Lagos State. Meanwhile, the NDLEA operatives also dealt a leather blow to a cluster of cannabis syndicates operating in the Opuje Forest in Edo State, where massive warehouses and tents storing almost 400,000 of this psychoactive substance were destroyed and set ablaze, while 4 suspects were arrested in the operation. The Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, revealed this in a statement obtained while speaking to journalists. The operation came a few days after the Chairman and Executive Chief Officer, NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, vowed to make life tough for drug barons and cartels in 2023. Parents have been enjoined to live an exemplary lifestyle for them to always be remembered as role models after their departure to the great beyond. This formed the crux of messages delivered at the 8-day Fidao for Madam Alimat Sadiat Adelu. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga has details.
Who are greatly loved by others will always have extra attention paid to their needs. This has been proven to be true once again for the well-known Osogbo-born Madam Alimat Sadiat Adelu, from the family of Balogun Biro compound Okebale Osogbo, as friends and families, as well as Muslim faithfuls, monarchs, chiefs, top government functionaries, top politicians in the state, and well-meaning individuals gathered at the 8 days Fidao of Madam Alimat Sadiat Adelu. In their separate lectures, Alhaji Musbaudin Orimadegun and Alhaji Mikayi Folorunso maintained that every man has been destined to taste death. Therefore, there is need for every man to reassess his life and do according to the way the Holy Quran has instructed. They added that Almighty Allah is a God of mystery, for Allah will neither show a man the place of his death, nor the time of his death, urging individuals to always live their lives like it is the last. The clerics enjoin all to keep believing in Almighty Allah, for he is the giver of life and the giver of all a man could ever go after, noting that many will be faced with so many challenges, but to never turn away from Almighty Allah. They urge individuals to learn from the life of Madam Alimat Sadiat Adelu, who trained her children to be great in life.
But the question is, Iku is not the physical sense of a person. It is rather a powerful feeling of helplessness, hopelessness. In the face of a vacuum, you cannot feel. And you don't say that you don't get your Shima, Nampe Niku. It doesn't get the Kokawala Ojama. Ayeta Kusiola Ojama. Iku wona get the Kokawala Ojama. Etalo to Jama. To say last river Boboa. Iditolo of Jama.
Also speaking at the event, the children of Madam Alimat Sadiat Adelu, including Alhaji Dauda Adelu, Alhaji Abdul Fattah Adelu, and Mr. Oyeshiko Adelu, among others, described their late mother as a woman of substance who stood by them all when they needed her the most, noting that the love, kindness, and advices that their late father and mother left behind will forever live among them. They described their late mother as an epitome of love, humility, and discipline, whose indelible mark in the lives of individuals can never be forgotten.
We are united and we are happy that the glory of our father and our mother is being exemplified now, that people are now appreciating the love that our father impacted in us, the love our mother impacted on us.
Things of life which he has put in place, I will only rely on that, and I will rely on God to really support me. You know, an orphan now, I only rely on God that to keep me moving.
The 8-day Fidao of Madam Alimat Sadiat Adelu featured the recitation from the Holy Quran. Prayers for the children, the families of Adelu, the community, the progress of Oshogbo land, Osun State and Nigeria at large. Oluwa Tobiloba, Odunuga, Osbc News.
For segment. Liberian president and former FIFA World Best Player George Weah has come out in full support of Morocco's bid to host the 2025 African Cup of Nations after the hosting rights were withdrawn from Guinea over its lack of preparations. Oluwaranti Ojewumi has details of this and more.
Super Eagles defender William Troost-Ekong is set to complete a loan move from Watford to Salernitana until the end of the season. The Serie A side have an obligation to buy the Nigerian at the end of the season. Troost-Ekong is making a return to the Italian top flight after his previous stint at Udinese. The 29-year-old spent 2 seasons at Udinese and centre-back moved to Watford in September 2020. Troost-Ekong has made 15 appearances for Watford in the Sky Bet Championship this season with a goal to his name. Also, Liberian President George Weah has come out in full support of Morocco's bid to host the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after the hosting rights were withdrawn from Guinea over its lack of preparations. President Weah stated his position while reacting to false and misleading reports making rounds in some international media outlets that he was supporting the bid by Algeria to host the same tournament. He expressed his fullest and strong support for the Moroccan bid, which he has further emphasized to the Moroccan government. The former FIFA World Best Player said Morocco brought immense pride to Africa at the just-ended World Cup in Doha, Qatar, and as such, Africa must honor them with the right to host the 2025 Nations Cup. President Weah said he has already on Thursday. The 24th seeded Spaniard Batista won 6-1, 6-7, 6-3, 6-4 and faces unseeded Tommy Paul of the United States in the last 16. Former world number 1 Murray, who has a metal hip fallen career-saving surgery 4 years ago, was 3-0 down in a flash in the first set, but the 3-time Grand Slam champion had Margaret Court Arena family in his corner, and a huge cheer went up when he finally got on the board, holding serve for 3-1. Oluwaranti Ojewumi for Osbc News.
And moving on to the foreign scene, security forces have rescued 66 women and children who were kidnapped by armed fighters in northern Burkina Faso. Sarah Omidele has details of this.
Forces conducted a rescue operation and freed 27 women and 39 babies, children and young girls in the adjacent Center North region. The abduction prompted alarm from the United Nations, while the country's military government warned of a rise in attacks on civilians. It should be recalled that armed men had recently seized the women and their children outside 2 villages in the districts of Abinda, in the Sahel region, Somme province. Several government and security officials confirmed the news in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Meanwhile, armed rebels have occupied territory in the country's arid and mainly rural north, executing hundreds of villagers and displacing thousands more in the process. In the meantime, a Palestinian man has been shot dead in the occupied West Bank in the latest incident of violence as it surges in the territory where the number of those killed by the Israeli army has risen to 18, including 4 children. According to reports, a 42-year-old Tariq Mali was shot in the city of Ramallah after the Israeli forces opened fire on him near the Palestinian village of Kafr Nama, adding that the man was neutralized after attempting to stab an Israeli settler. The majority of the 18 Palestinians killed this year were shot dead by Israeli forces. The UN said 2022 was the deadliest year for Palestinians in the West Bank since 2006, where more than 30 children were among the 171 Palestinians killed in the region last year, and at least 9,000 other Palestinians were injured. Sarah Omidele, Osbc News.
And that ends the major reports on Osbc TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola, wishing you a wonderful night's rest.